So you want to set up your lead qualification based on the market that you're in, and then be very clear about that with your lead manager. And then you want to make sure that there are no pending tasks left at the end of the day. So coming back to this email that you guys are going to start getting from tomorrow, like this should really be zero for every single person at the end of the day. Good afternoon or good morning, good evening, depending on what part of the world you guys are joining from. My name is Sharad. I'm the owner and founder of REsimpli. I'm also an active investor in Northwest Indiana market. So for anyone not familiar, I invest right outside of Chicago. From downtown Chicago, about 30 to 40 minutes, right? I have an office in Indiana, about 30 minutes drive from downtown Chicago. I live in right outside Toronto, Canada, but I'm moving to San Diego area in about 2 months. So looking forward to that. I do mostly fix and flip, but instead of selling to homeowners, most of the properties that we sell to other investors as a turnkey properties. And I own a property management business. And in addition, I own about 50 rental units of my own. So that's how I got started in the business, buying rental properties, and then moved to fix and flip, wholesaling, and now is what I do. And then I started REsimpli about 4 or 5 years ago as something I needed for myself, and then it kind of grew into what it is today. So for everyone on the call, if you guys are able to, if you can have your camera on, I'll appreciate it. Just makes the call way more interactive. I see your beautiful faces. You know, even though I have a face built for radio, I take the courage to have my video on. You guys are all so good looking. You should definitely have your video on. So the training we're going to be doing today is on like how to, the roles and responsibilities of lead manager. So whether you have a lead manager in the business or not, it doesn't matter. If you don't have it, then basically you're the lead manager, but it's good to start, looking at this as a separate role. So as you scale your business, if you don't have a lead manager, like you kind of know what's expected of that lead manager, role and what you're having this lead manager to do. So I did this training about sometime last year, mid of last year, had really good response. And I noticed on our Facebook group, every now and then people would ask on, the roles or responsibility of lead manager. So I figured we'll do another call. I added some additional information. There's an update going live to REsimpli tomorrow that should help, again, keeping your lead manager, everyone in your team accountable. So this is very relevant for that. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll go through. All right, let me know if you guys can see my screen. You should see a flowchart call. All right, thank you. So this is how I manage things in my business. Feel free to let me know if you guys have any thoughts on this. I didn't change anything on this, but I have a couple of additional slides or information to share. Basically, the way you want to look at this is, again, if whether you have a lead manager or not, this is kind of your, as the lead comes in, this is how you want to start thinking what the process is going to look like. So you have a new incoming lead. It could be from whatever lead source you have. It could be doing PPC, paper lead, direct mail, cold calling, SMS, doesn't matter. You have a new lead coming in. It's a new incoming lead coming in for us. So the first thing we see is, was the call answered or not? If the call was not answered, we automatically put that lead on a drip campaign. So there's a feature. This is not necessarily a REsimpli training, but again, it's built around kind of what I'm doing in my business using REsimpli. But so you want to make sure if the call is not answered, you immediately want to put that lead on a drip campaign. Now, depending on which lead source the lead is coming from, you want to have different, drip campaign built in. So for example, if you have lead coming in from your direct mail and you miss a call, then you want to have a drip campaign that's specific to that, the message is specific to the lead source, direct mail. So for example, if you have, and you can do it at each campaign level, which I'll go into a little bit later. So for example, if you have a lead that comes in from your direct mail probate list, right? And then you could set up a separate drip campaign that's you miss a call, you don't answer it. Then you could say, hey, I just missed a call from you. You probably called us from the postcard that we sent out. Can you give me the information of the property? Just start the conversation just to see. And then, we have a message, we have a task set up for our team to start calling them. So we send them a text message immediately, then we wait like 5 minutes and give them a call. But if they respond to the text message before we call them, then we just communicate with them via text unless they request for us to call them. So if a call comes in or a lead comes in, you do not answer it. Put them on a drip campaign immediately. And then this is a drip campaign. This should be in everybody's account already. It's called RES drip missed call, no name, no address. Because when you initially have a lead coming in, you're not going to have their name, you're not going to have the address. So the drip just says, hey, sorry, we missed your call. Can you give me the address of the property that you are calling about? So that's, if you miss a call, very simple. Put them on a drip campaign, just start the conversation. And even if instead of incoming lead through call, if you have a web lead coming in from your website, still put them on a drip campaign. In that case, you will have their name, you will have the property address, then you can put them on a different drip campaign. And because if the lead is coming in from website, for example, for us on our REsimpli website, we ask for their name, phone number, email address, and their property address. Then what we are doing with those properties or those leads we are texting them, we're emailing them, and then we wait a few minutes to see if they respond. If they respond to text or email, then we just communicate through that channel until they want us to call them. So make sure if you have a new lead coming in, if you miss a call, or if it's a new web lead coming in, you immediately put them on a drip campaign without you having to do that. Completely automate the process. So you just immediately engage them in that conversation, because when they're filling out the form on the website or they're calling you at that point, that's when they have the highest motivation. So you want to make sure you immediately start engaging them in a conversation. Then let's say if it's an incoming lead, a call comes in, you answer the call, then you want to review the call detail at that point. You want to start the conversation. Are they interested in selling? Let's say you send out direct mail, and at that point, the lead comes in, the person calls and say, hey, I received your postcard. I'm not interested in selling. Can you please take me off your marketing campaign? Then you just move them to dead lead and then move the reason not interested in selling. And you make sure you still ask them for their property address. So you're not mailing them again. Just tell them, hey, we do bulk mailing, mass mailing. If you can give us your property address, we'll make sure we exclude you from any future mailing. The next thing, if they're interested in selling, next thing you want to ask them is the address of the property that they are calling about, right? And then once you get the address of the property, the next thing the lead manager is doing in our business is running the comps on the property. Again, we have the Zillow link built in, and you can just Google the address. We have the Zillow integration in our system, but you can Google the property address, and then you can, based on Realtor, Redfin, and whatnot, just get a sense of what the property is worth. And then next thing you want to try to ask the seller is see if they can provide you the mortgage information. So like right now, we made an offer on a property yesterday for $150,000, but the seller has a mortgage of $165,000, but he said he has mortgage on 2 properties. So we're still trying to figure out, but if you can get that information, it's really good to have it. So you're not wasting your time. If the seller says, hey, I'm okay selling for $100,000, but I have this loan of $150,000 that I need to pay off, and the property is only worth $150,000. Then, depending on kind of what your business model is, you might want to refer it to an agent, or work on short deals or short sale if your market is doing that. And then, so what we do is then we look into, for us, is the mortgage less than 80% of the ARV? So let's say lead comes in, the seller, the property is worth $200,000. The seller says, I have a mortgage of $150,000. At that point, we look at, okay, what is the value of the mortgage? It's less than 80% of the ARV. So ARV is $200,000. The mortgage, 80% is $160,000. It's less than that. Then, we call the lead back at that point. Just basically continue the conversation if the seller had just left a voicemail. If not, then we refer that to an agent or listing. So this is where you might have a different criteria in your business. But again, I'm just sharing with you, like, as a general practice, what we are doing and what I notice a lot of other investors are doing. If it's, if the mortgage value is more than what they're willing to pay for the house, then they refer it to an agent. And then at that point, what you want to do is because these leads are very, very easy to get slipped through the cracks. You want to put these leads on a drip campaign. You can call it agent refer drip. This is just for your internal purposes, to follow up with the agent once a month or once every other month, to make sure, if you refer the listing over to an agent, and if you have some sort of a revenue share agreement with the agent, that you're actually getting paid on that, and you don't forget about these listings. So you could have a simple drip campaign set up to follow up with the agent, once a month, once every other month, about that specific listing. So this is all internally. Someone on your team is following up with that. And so you have the information, and then at that point, you're calling the lead back if the seller had left a message, or you have this information available through whatever incoming lead. Then at that point, when you call the lead back, did lead answer the phone? If they did not answer the phone, then you want to put them on a separate drip campaign, which is called, we have this, I believe, in every account, called RES drip. We have their name and address drip. So at this point, because you've had this entire conversation with them, what you're doing is you're putting them on a different drip campaign, and it's going to be not as aggressive. Again, you can set it up based on what your business needs are, and different lead source, depending on where the lead is coming from. But you can set it up based on this, and based on the situation, all the information that you have. But if they answer the phone at that point, then you want to start qualifying the lead based on some additional information. So this is very, very initial information, but then you want to ask this information. So for this specific purpose, I created these, and I'll share this with everyone. Created just a simple script. This is what we're trying to do in our business. It's based on spin selling method, very popular sales selling method for real estate and other businesses. Again, I'll drop a link to this in the chat. Let me do that, so you guys all have it. All right, so you guys can, again, these are some of the questions you want to ask. So we are moving to these questions now. Basically, for the spin selling, it's you ask them about their situation, essentially kind of more or less ties into this right here. You're just trying to get a little bit more information about the property, how long they've owned, is the property vacant or occupied? And then you can build this in your lead intake form. So when your lead manager is calling in, they're asking all these questions initially when they're calling. And then the next thing, once you have that information, again, these are, more like a complete list of questions based on the information they gave you. And the situation part of the question that you asked them, you want to kind of go on to the problems. Okay, just figure out what the problem is. What is their real motivation to sell? So think of it like, why do they want to sell? What made you consider selling your property? Have you had any difficulty in finding a buyer? What challenges have you faced with your property? So you're trying to figure out what is the real need for them to sell the property. And the next part, once you have some information about the property, you figure out why do they want to sell the property that they have. The next part is where these are called implication questions, where you're asking them, what would happen if you could not sell the property in the near future? What would happen if you were able to sell the property in its current condition? So just so that they understand, what are the consequences of if they're not able to sell their property, given the condition the property is in, or the market it might be in. And then this is, you're trying to almost like the benefits that we bring to the seller, to the homeowner as a real estate investor. Those are baked into your question right here. How would you feel if you had to pay commissions and other fees associated with selling your property through a real estate agent? Just so that you can eventually, when you go into the next part of question, you can just talk about the benefits that you have. Again, you're not asking them about the price, how much do they want to sell. You're basically laying the foundation, getting all the information, setting up the situation for them, asking all these questions. Again, these are built on the information you've given, and you can add additional questions to that. And then once you get to the last end for the spin selling method, you're asking them, hey, what benefits you see in selling your property to a cash buyer like me? You're not necessarily telling, hey, I'm going to buy your property, but you're asking them what benefit would they see in selling a property to a cash buyer like yourself. How important is it for you to receive a fair price for your property? What impact or what would you do with the extra time and money you would save by not having to list your property with a real estate agent? So again, these are all the benefits and value that we bring to homeowner as investors. So that's what we want to focus on. That's where all the questions are built around all the value that we bring to a homeowner. Like, what impact would it have on your daily life to no longer have to worry about maintaining or managing your property? Again, you can change the language based on how you see fit, but this is kind of what we are doing in our business in terms of like communicating, negotiating with these sellers. And then, so based on the information provided, it sounds like selling your property for cash without having to list with a real estate agent could be a great solution for you. I would happy to discuss my offer. Then at that point, you're saying, okay, I will present you to an offer. Would that be something you are interested in? And then you kind of proceed from there. You don't make the conversation about the price. You make it about, the problems that they're having with the property. And if they were not able to solve the problem, what would the impact be on their life? And then if they were to solve, how would they feel about that? And based on that, you make your offer. So again, I dropped the link in the chat. So if you guys want, you could download it and then copy and paste in Google Drive or and change your question. But this is kind of what we're using in our business. So once you ask the question, based on that, you are, again, qualifying the lead. And if you're able to qualify the lead, at that point, you're setting up an appointment. So for us in our business, our lead flow is, or our deal flow is, we go on every single property, we go on an appointment. Very rarely, we'd make an offer, or even if we make an offer, we still go and look at the property afterwards because we're doing some big rehabs in our business. So we'll still go and look at the property. So for us, if the lead is qualified, schedule an appointment. For someone else, who's not going on an appointment, but you're making offers over the phone, in a virtual market, this might be, have the acquisition manager make an offer. If the lead is not qualified, then what you want to see is this something where the lead would be qualified in, let's say 6 months. Say everything checks off, but for some reason the lead doesn't want to sell, is unable to sell for next 12 months. Then, it's not really a qualified lead, but it will be qualified in about, it'll be a qualified lead for you in about 12 months. Then you want to put them on a long-term drip follow-up, and you have their name and address. We do it once every 3 months just to stay on their radar. And that's the whole intent of that drip campaign. Is all you're doing is just staying on their radar, following up and asking them, hey, this is Sharad, we had talked about your property at 123 Main Street. Just wanted to check in and see if you're still looking to sell. Let me know if you need anything. That's it. You're not trying to sell them on anything. Just you're staying on their radar. And after you ask them these questions, again, let's say it comes back on mortgage on the property is 100,000 and the property is only worth 100,000. At that point, it's not a qualified property, or you find out some other reason for which the property will not be qualified. We, in our business, are moving that property over to a dead lead. Now there are other, investors using REsimpli. For them, it's not a dead lead unless, as long as the owner is alive and the property is not sold. But that's, depending on what your business model is. For us, if the person is not interested in selling or they don't qualify for some other reason, we just move it to dead lead and we take them out of any other marketing we're doing, at least for next 6 months to a year. Then we'll reach them out again through a direct mail campaign or some other marketing channel. Or if they reach out to us through some inbound marketing through PPC or website, then we'll kind of pick up from there. But that's kind of what we're doing. For us in our business, the most important role for a lead manager is to get as many qualified appointments as possible for an acquisition manager. Hands down, like if I were to say, what's the only thing if I want to look at my lead manager do in the business is to get as many qualified appointments as possible for acquisition manager. If you're making offers virtually, so it might not be get as many appointments, qualified appointments for walkthrough, it might be get as many qualified appointments to make offers. So it could be that for you in your business, but the goal again is to get as many qualified appointments, whether it is for an in-person appointment or whether it is for a virtual appointment, to make an offer over the phone. But the goal should be how many qualified appointments the lead manager is able to get for you in your business. And this is what some of the KPIs that you want to track for lead manager. How many calls are they making per day? Let's say if it's 50 per day, how many pending tasks do they have at the end of the day? It should be 0. how many open leads they have, how many internal inbox messages do they have, and how many leads do they have not on drip campaign or without pending task. So these are the KPIs you want to look at. And for this, we are rolling out an update. It's going to go live tomorrow in Pro and Enterprise account. You are going to start getting an email with this information. This is kind of a daily productivity summary of everything that happened in your business. We'll start with how many leads did come into your business on that day. So the email is going to go out at between 11 p.m., 12 a.m. Midnight EST. So depending on what time zone you're in, just go out between around 11:30 p.m. EST. So we'll give you a snapshot of your business as of that time, everything that happened in your business. So let's say if you had 33 leads come in, this email will tell you where are the leads as of that moment the email went out. Are they still sitting in new leads? Are they in no contact made? Are they in contact made, appointment set, whatever offer or whatever status you've set up, what status they're in? So out of the 33 leads that you had, 5 were moved to dead leads, and then you can have a conversation with your team based on that and what lead source the lead came in for that day. So it gives you these are 10 lead sources. So it'll show you top 9. If they're more than 10, then it'll just everything will get combined into all of the lead sources. But for most people, you won't really have like more than 10 lead sources in any day. So it'll just show you the top 10 for that day. And then this is where it shows you daily activity for every single team member that you have. So as of the time the email went out, how many pending tasks each person has, how many SMS they sent out for that day, how many calls they made out, and how many calls they were actually able to connect on. What was the average call duration for each call, and what was the total call duration for all the calls that were made out. So it'll show you for every single team member that you have on your team. And then for list stacking, it will say list stacking dialer activity. So if you have access to dialer in REsimpli, it'll show you for every single team member that has access to REsimpli list stacking dialer, how many calls did they make out, how many of the calls they were actually able to make contacts with, and what was your contact percentage of all the calls that you made, how many people that you were able to actually get in contact with, how many leads were you able to convert from those contacts, and what was your percentage of lead converted from the contacts that you made, how many seller appointments did you have today, whether it's in-person appointment, drive-by or phone appointment. As long as you select seller appointment, it will be counted here. So this will show you all the appointments that you had in your business today, and this will be clickable. So if you want to click on the property address, it take you directly to the property address, and then I'll show you who the appointment was for and what status the property is in at that time. What was the date and time of the appointment? The date would be, of course, today. I'll show you the time and what was the outcome of that appointment that the team member updated. And then all the offers that you made in your business today, regardless of what status the property is in. I'll show you a property, whether you made a written offer or you made a verbal offer, how much was the offer amount, and what status the property is in right now, and who is the acquisition manager for that property that you made an offer on. This will be clickable. So if you want to go click on this in the email, it'll take you directly to that property. And then this right here will show you the abandoned lead. So if I go back right here, I mentioned that, this section right here, leads that are not on drip or leads without pending tasks, it's going to, without you having to go in, you just review your daily email. It'll show you every single, for all the leads that you have in your pipeline, how many are not on drip, not just for that day, it's as of that day. How many leads do you have in your pipeline that are not on drip? How many don't have any pending tasks, and how many leads do you have that are not on drip and also do not have, or they don't have a pending task? So you can see, like for us, there should not be any lead without at least a pending task on them or drip, except once we move them to dead lead. So this will give you an idea. Just make sure that you have absolutely zero lead ever falling through the CAG. Again, you have this information in your dashboard, but we're summarizing all of this in an email, so you don't have to go to different places to look at this information. You have it all in one email. And then I'll show you some other additional information, how many open leads you have in your business as of that time of the email, how many messages do you have from buyers that you did not respond back to, and if you have multiple acquisition managers, how many leads were unclaimed by your team, how many leads are still sitting unassigned, and if you have any past due contingencies on buyer side or sell side, which, how many of the buy side and sell side past due contingencies that you have in your business. And if you're using driving for dollars, how many properties did you add today driving for dollars? So very, very detailed email. We had posted a different version of daily email about a month ago, and we got some feedback, and we were actually able to implement all of these ideas into this email. So it's very, very detailed. So everyone should start receiving this email starting tomorrow. So we're doing one other. I got an email from my account today. We're going to do another round of testing tomorrow, just to make sure everything is good. And then it should go live, or we'll do another round of testing tonight, and then it'll go live for everyone tomorrow. So you should start seeing these emails come out tomorrow between 11:30 p.m. EST is when you should start getting these emails. So yeah, so coming back to this, so all the lead manager KPIs that you want to be tracking is going to be all in that email. So you can look at it for that day and get really, really good idea of everything that happened in your business for that day. And there's some information based on kind of, what we are paying our lead manager and what some of the other, investors that I know are paying their lead manager in terms of base pay and in terms of bonus. Typically, the going rate is somewhere between $4 and $6 an hour for a VA based in a lead manager based in Philippines. Again, it could be, higher, lower, depending on the experience level, but generally say like 80-90% of the lead managers would fall within that price range. And depending on your business, they would get anywhere from $50 to $250 per closed deal. At least that's how we pay. We pay based on the closed deal, not necessarily based on the appointment. And then if you have a US-based lead manager, you would pay somewhere between $12 to $20 an hour, depending again on the location. And then the bonus for each deal would be about $250 to $1,000 per closed deal to your lead manager based in the US. And just to kind of summarize everything, you want to make sure the lead manager's role is that there's absolutely no lead left behind, making sure going back to this should all be zero, except for dead lead. In our business, they should always be zero. So now with the email going out, you will have this information in your email every single day. So you want to make sure you're holding your lead manager accountable to make sure this should always be zero in your business. And then listen to call recording and identify calls for coaching opportunities. Really, really good. Simple thing to do. If you notice any call that lasted for, you can look at calls that lasted for more than, let's say, 2 minutes, or, calls that only lasted like 15 seconds, I would just look at those and look at, some coaching opportunities, depending on, if you're following like a lot of investors follow, like sales coaching by John Martinez, for example. I think a different person owns the company now, but if you're doing that, just whatever sales method you have or whatever, processes that you have, make sure you're coaching your lead manager based on that. Like, again, I posted this in the chat. So these are the questions based on spin selling method. This is what we are going to be using in our business. And I'll report back kind of what we start noticing, but I put this together. I feel pretty good about these questions. And again, I have the link in the chat if anybody wants to grab a copy. And then initial lead qualification. So again, depending on your business, you want to set up a very clear lead qualification for your lead manager, right? If you are okay buying, like we have, some investors using our platform, they're also an agent. So they're okay buying something, even if or they're okay getting the lead, even if the loan to value is, let's say, 90%, 95%, because they can still take it as a listing opportunity. Or they might be in a market where they can still do some short sale. So they're okay with that. So you want to set up your lead qualification based on the market that you're in, and then be very clear about that with your lead manager. And then you want to make sure that there are no pending tasks left at the end of the day. So coming back to this email that you guys are going to start getting from tomorrow, like this should really be zero for every single person at the end of the day, because it's giving you the task that should have been completed as of the time the email went out, or as of the day the email went out. So this should really be zero at the end of the day. If it's not, that's an opportunity for you to have a discussion with your team and ask them, hey, why was this not zeroed out for you? And then, leads that are not on drip, again, this right here. If you have a lead that's not on drip, that's again an opportunity, where you could automate some of the processes rather than setting up manual tasks and figure out, what are some automation opportunities that you could do where you could put the lead on a drip and then have a task be set up to follow up with the lead every 3 months or whatnot. So you can do that. And then get as many qualified appointments as possible for AM. So again, that's the, if you were to hold your lead manager accountable just one thing and one thing only, it should be get as many qualified appointments. Now the appointments might mean in-person appointment, phone appointments to make an offer, whatever it might be based on the business that you have, but the goal should be get as many qualified appointments as possible for the acquisition manager. And then these are the KPIs to track. And then these should be the daily tasks, listen to calls, run comms, call back the leads, qualify leads, and schedule appointments over anything else. So you might have your lead manager, if they don't have too many leads in the pipeline, or if it's a slow day, you might have them be calling from the dialer like we have our lead manager do, if there's not enough leads for us to follow up on, call from the dialer. But again, if a lead comes in, then this always takes the priority over anything else that they're doing, over prospecting that we're doing. Managing the current leads that we have takes the priority. And again, that's just based on some rough information. If you have a US-based VA, looking at paying them about $12 to $20 an hour, plus bonus about $250 to $1,000 per closed deal. And if it's an overseas lead manager, looking at about $4 to $6 an hour. I would say most of the overseas VAs in my, talking to investors are based in Philippines. So $4 to $6 an hour plus bonus of about $50 to $250 per closed deal that you have. So that's what I have for lead manager training. Any questions or any thoughts on this? All right, let me see a couple of questions. Is there somewhere you can get the flow chart? Yeah, I'll send out the flowchart diagrams in an email, including the Dropbox link for all these 4 sites that we have. This is something we're gonna, if you're pro and enterprise user, you are gonna start getting this email tomorrow, but I'll still send it out. And John has a question, just to know about filling out the lead date on REsimpli. There's a field for the last order date. Can we enter the date manually here instead of clicking on the calendar? It does not allow us to enter the date manually. It takes the time. Okay, John, I'll get that looked into. I'll have my team look into that and see if there's a, we can change the UI of that, and then it gives you a drop down to select the year so you can easily go back. And thank you, Renee, for dropping the link for Dropbox. Are you able to drop the framework for the lead manager, please? Yeah, Anthony, I'll email this out to everyone. What email will the daily reminder come from, and what will the subject header be? Great question, Andre. The daily email is going to come from, I believe, noreply@resimpli.com, and it'll say your productivity summary for today's date. So if you were to get it today, say your productivity summary for May to 2023. So you want to make sure you kind of, sometimes Gmail would put REsimpli emails in updates or promotions. So you want to make sure, especially for the daily email, you want to apply a filter and have it go to your primary inbox. So keep an eye out for that. And Sarah has a question. Calls are tracking outbound only, both call count and talk time. Correct, Sarah. The calls for now are only tracking outbound only. We are going to be making some updates later this year where we can start tracking inbound calls also. The only challenge for that is, when you put in a phone number, like right now, we don't know if it's associated with a team member. So, let's say if you put in a phone number for Call Porter, a lot of our investors are using Call Porter. If you put in a phone number for Call Porter, then it goes outside of your team member, then we're not able to track that, or we're able to track that, but we don't show that. But we're looking into that on being able to map the incoming calls to a specific user, and everything that is not answered by an internal team member, it's answered by somebody outside, like Call Porter, for example. Then we can show all other calls outside of team members or something like that. Charles said, will this video be available for review? Yes, Charles, this is going to be in our Facebook group. So you can go there, it's streaming live there. But if not, then we'll put it on our YouTube channel, and we'll email it to everyone. All right, thanks, Brittany, for dropping the link. Switch talk time tracker to include only connected calls that are leaving voicemail. For example, calls over 90 seconds to get a more realistic average. Yeah, Sarah, we'll look into that. I mean, so Sarah said that, being able to only track call time where you're not leaving voicemail. Yeah, that's something we'll look at. I mean, there's, some we can integrate into our provider provides us the call voicemail tracking, but it's not accurate. It's like 60 to 70% accurate, and it's like industry standard. Like it's never going to be 100% accurate, like machine detection. So we're looking into that, like what we can do it, but without at the same time we don't want to add additional clicks. Also, I mean, you have the option of when you do not connect, you select the call result, whether you connected with the call or you did not connect with the call, whether you left voicemail or not. But again, it's only going to be based on how accurately somebody is filling out. So,
but then can we filter that when reviews? So as reviewing my lead, my acquisitions manager, I want to see quality conversations. What is their average talk time? Or we don't want someone making offers unless they spend at least 15 minutes on the phone with someone or that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's we had few other investors suggest that. So we are going to be adding an update in future, like in next couple of months, where you will have the filter option to filter based on call duration. So we don't have that right now, but that's something that's going to be coming very soon, where you can filter based on the call result and also the the call duration. So you can do the ones where they connected but not voicemail left, and then you can do anything more than 90 seconds or longer. So you can just filter for that and listen into those calls. And we're also rolling out an update where you will be able to listen into live calls. So if there's actually live call going on, you'll be able to listen into that. You'll be able to join that call. You'll be able to train your lead manager, on certain situations. Only your team member will hear that, what you're whispering to your team manager. So yeah, we do have some big updates coming on the calling side of it. Right. Can you give me a quick comparison? Musa, for this, I would have you connect with our support team. We try not to make this call about REsimpli per se, even though it's a REsimpli mastermind, but we don't talk about why should REsimpli, why should not use some other platform. But I would have you book a call with someone on our team to give you a quick comparison of how REsimpli compares to other platform. We try to make these calls more about adding value, but again, I'm using REsimpli in my business, so everything is going to be built around REsimpli. But there's some people on the call that are not using REsimpli, and it's open to anyone to attend the call.
Yeah, sure. I have a quick question.
Yes, go ahead, man.
Yeah, do you not put your dead leads on any type of long-term kind of drip campaign or long-term? Do you just wait till your dead leads hit a certain amount and then kind of follow up with them, or do you have them?
So if you're moving someone to a dead lead, so for example, someone says, hey, I don't want to sell my property, don't call me, I'll never sell my property. We just move them to dead lead. Or if someone has a loan of, let's say if the property is worth 100,000 and they have a loan of $150,000 on that property, right? Then at that point, there's no point following up with that, because unless we refer it to the agent, but if the person doesn't have cash to bring to the table, and we're doing very straight deals in my business. Again, there's way more creative people, on this call and other people using REsimpli, but I have a very simple business. Hey, I'll pay you cash, I'll close in quickly, and then our exit is we close on everything. We don't wholesale, we don't do any assignment, we close on everything, and then we rehab them, we sell them. So for us, if it's a dead lead, then we just leave it to dead lead. But what we do is, let's say if we're doing a direct mail campaign, right? So when we're pulling the list, the second every 6 months, then some of those properties, will come on again 6 months later, and then we'll reach them through our second market, through our new list at that point. Or what we notice sometimes is, let's say if we have been reaching out to, we just closed on a property last month, and we had sent this person direct mail multiple times, for cold call them, but eventually this person converted through our PPC lead. Even though we tried reaching to this person, but this person ended up converting through PPC lead because every time we would mail them, we would put a tag in list stacking, and then they were part of a certain list, so we were able to track that information. But then it converted through PPC. So yeah, for us, let's say if something came in today, they're not interested in selling their property. Then when we're pulling our list, let's say at the mid of the year, like end of June, early July, then we'll have the criteria of, okay, anybody that has 30% more equity, unknown equity, and they've owned the property. And if they meet that criteria, then they'll get pulled in again. And at that point, if somebody is in our dead lead recently, then we will remove them. But if not, then, we're doing it. It's a fresh list, and we'll email them again and just let them kind of call back and just basically, let them decide if they're still not interested in selling their property. But yeah, I mean, for us, if they have some sort of motivation in selling, then we will not move them to dead lead. We'll move them to warm lead, and that's where we'll manage the lead from. Basically, it's sitting in a warm lead. Depending on how motivated they are, it could be a long-term follow, just staying on the radar every 3 months at that point. And when they're interested, then we move them over to an active lead at that point.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, and I highly recommend headset you guys use. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have any, Brittany has a question, highly recommended headset you guys use. We've tried a couple and don't love the feedback on mic and recording. Brittany, our team uses Jabra headset. Our team in Philippines uses Jabra. Yeah, Luz also mentioned Jabra. If you want to send an email to support@REsimpli or Danielle at REsimpli, she can tell you the exact one we use, but we use Jabra and they've been pretty, yeah, I think it's Jabra 65 or 75 something. Yeah, that's what we use, and it's pretty good connection. Cool. Any other questions or anything you are doing in your business different from this, or I'll be curious to hear kind of what you guys are doing in your business that might be different to this, or something that I can go back and implement in my business. Would love to hear that, or any other questions you guys have that I can answer.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say one question, one suggestion for whatever it's worth for everybody from what we've seen so far. The question being with the dialer, I believe your guys' team was just about to get back to me, but adding notifications for that, because anybody responding to those calls or missed calls, if we don't answer them, getting notifications for those, because we definitely are getting lost behind on those.
I spoke with Daniel this morning about that. I think it was regarding, so we are doing a complete overhaul to notification. So what we're doing right now, and that's what you guys haven't seen some big updates come out there. So after we release 3.0 version, our team is kind of optimizing everything, making sure, we built a lot into our platform. So we're going back and just making sure our code is stable, stable foundation, so we can keep building more on top of it. So we do have some really, really cool things with notification, with disposition, and then some couple of other cool things we're working on that you'll start seeing it come out from next month. So this month is just basically going in and just optimizing our code, making sure everything is done correctly for solid foundation. So we're going to keep building on top of it. But yeah, notification is a big part of that update.
Perfect. That sounds good. Yeah, that was a big piece that was just missing for us. We thought we were missing them for a second. They were going in that inbox. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions that I can answer for anyone? I don't mind getting this off this call early. It's up to you guys if you have any questions or any suggestions. I mean, whether it's related to this or anything outside of this, more than happy to.
I had a question on the banking side of things.
Sure.
We have transfers that we make. So we use Profit First, and we have a lot of transfers from accounts. And sometimes when I sync the banking thing, it doesn't note that, sometimes it does, and it'll show as a transfer and I can just confirm, but sometimes it'll show as a transaction. And I don't know how to make it force it to mark it as a transfer.
Yeah, so you have you have both bank accounts added in your banking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind, just send me a quick video on which bank it happens with. So if we notice if there's a delay from Plate on pulling transactions on one of your accounts, then I can get them to look into it. Because let's say if you had what was that?
No, I was gonna ask. So it's looking at one bank account, and then it's that when it says match, it's saying because it matched the two different bank accounts. Is that it?
Yes. So if it says match, it matched a different bank account. So it's doing based on the amount and the date of the transfer that you made. It could be for credit card payments or the money that you're moving around for profit first purposes. So it's doing for that reason. But yeah, it should match. And if you have multiple transactions for the same amount and date, then it'll give you an option to choose from one of them.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
if it does not for some reason, just shoot me a quick Loom video and I'll look into that and see what might be going on. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Brittany, since you asked, this is like a very quick preview of what we are doing with the notification. So this is going to be a notification center. So if you get a missed call, it will show you right here. So there'll be an icon that will pop up, and then you can either call them back from here. You can mark it as read. And if you get a text, and this will be, so another big update would be you won't have to refresh your page. So this will be real time. As soon as you get a notification, whatever page you're on, it will just pop up, like just on the top right. I mean, it's showing you a whole page, but it'll just be top right, kind of like a browser notification. And then if you have somebody tags you on a note, you just see it. Or if you get a text message without leaving the page, you could just reply, send your message, and be done, and the notification will go away. So it will be for the entire platform that we have. Calls, SMS. So if you have from a buyer, it will say buyer. If you have from someone in list stacking, then it'll have a different badge to it. Okay. Cool. Any other question? Sorry, I missed the answer to, will everyone get the productivity summary email in the morning? So Cynthia, the productivity email will go out to Pro and Enterprise users, the main user on the account for now when we go live tomorrow. So the first email will start going out tomorrow between 11:30 p.m. EST. Yeah, thank you, Brittany. Yeah, I'm excited about that. There's some pretty cool things with the notification that you're going, what I showed you just very high level. There's some other customization you'll be able to do with the notification also. Derek, Anthony, this is coming out, what I showed you with the notification is coming out in July is when it's coming out. Yes, and Derek has a question, is there in-app answering for iPhone? Yes, there is, Derek. You want to make sure you enable it in your account. If you have not, just shoot an email to support at REsimpli, and they can jump on a call and help you get that set up and do some test calls with you on that. But yeah, there is in-app answering on iPhone, Android, and also on the web. So if you're logged in, it'll just pop up on your web and you can answer a call from there. All right. Any other questions that I can answer for you guys?
I do have a question. Well,
sure.
Though I'm not a business owner. This is actually more on the REsimpli side.
Okay.
You know, when you try to check on profile, it shows you their managed phone numbers or managed numbers, right? Yep. So I was just wondering, because I've been, you know, doing lead managers calls for a year now, and I wanted to know if there's any, because you're talking about notification a while ago, and I was actually wondering if there's any way that you can roll out an update about our phone numbers being tagged as, you know, spam or reported, you know, phone numbers, because there are different kinds of campaigns, and we cannot really like stop them from having our phone numbers being tagged as that one.
Yeah, so you're talking about right here, right? It doesn't show for my account. I mean, this is a test account, but like you're talking right here, it'll show you like account or good, right? If it shows your account when you hover on it, it'll show you if it's being marked as spam by a specific carrier. Then once you hover on it, it's mostly AT&T. That's the one that's most aggressive in marking number as spam. We do spam check every single week for every single phone number that you have. So like at any given time, 90% of the numbers are going to be good. The 10% typically, you know, fluctuate between 5, 7, 10, 11%. But typically I would say like we notice staying around 8 to 10%. But if you notice a number that has consistently been on spam for you, let us know. We do bulk remediation every single week for every single carrier, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. But for some reason, if you or anybody on the call notice that your phone number is staying on spam for more than 2 or 3 weeks, let us know with that phone number, and we'll do like a separate remediation just for that phone number and not as part of a bulk remediation. But again, it's not guaranteed. I want to say it's absolutely not guaranteed that it will come off the spam check. You know, there's some like algorithm that certain carriers use. You know, if when you're making a call, how long the call is, how many short duration calls you have, how many abandoned calls you have. So there's like some algorithm that cell phone carriers have, which makes a phone number be marked as spam or not. But it's not guaranteed. But I would say most of the phone number every week they come off spam. But again, they could go back really quickly again on spam. So you could have the same number go on and off on spam check. But if there's a number that is consistently on spam, let us know. And if it's a number that you've invested a lot of money in, for example, in TV ads, radio, direct mail, and whatnot, and you really don't have the option of like getting rid of that number, let us know, and then we can look into and we can do some remediation for that specific phone number.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions that I can answer for you guys?
Hi, Sharad. Yeah, I have a
Hi, Naveen.
question. Yeah, hi.
Sure.
So from time to time, I try to check on our inbox, and then I noticed that we get like notifications for missed calls for REsimpli. So I'm the one manning the phones. So the in-app answering, I didn't see anything like a call come in, but for some reason it shows as a missed call. So I'm wondering if it's just us or if it's an ongoing issue.
No, I mean, it's not. We've had like, we did make an update end of last week, that a provider had made an update to the system, which we pushed to our system. But I mean, sometime it could happen, and we can look into each call. So let's say if you get a call like that, where you get a call and you just get a notification missed call, but it doesn't actually ring, let us know, and we can send you from our backend like what exactly happened with the call. Like something what we notice is, I'd say if I make a call and I immediately like hang up like within a second. So you could have that where, we didn't even get enough time to like show a pop-up for incoming call, where the person who called in just hung up immediately. So that could be reason for some of those notification. But as soon as somebody attempts to call, our system registers that somebody's attempting a call. Now, because these are VoIP calls, so let's say if someone's calling it from a landline number, it goes to our backend provider, then it comes to us, then we're pushing it to you. So there's always going to be 2 to 3 second delay. And from the time somebody calls it, then the call shows up on your screen. And if somebody hangs up between that time, then you'll still get the notification, but you won't see the actual call. So anytime it happens, just feel free to send us an email, support@REsimpli, and then let us know the phone number, the lead's phone number that they called from, and the phone number that they were calling into a REsimpli account, and we can go back and see exactly what happened and provide you some more information on that.
All right, I see. And so it doesn't really matter if, let's say, you're calling someone and then a call comes in, the in-app answering is still supposed to work, right? Even if you're like on an active call.
Yeah, no, if you're on an active call, it doesn't have call waiting right now. So what I would do is, so if you're on an active call, I would also have like your phone next to you. So if it pops up on your phone, it will pop up on your phone. So let's say if you're on a call on web, then it will not pop up on the web. It will pop up on your app at that point.
Oh, okay. So that means in our team, someone has to be available to answer inbound calls. If it just wouldn't work if it's just one person doing inbound and outbound then.
Correct. So yeah, if you have, like, say if you're on an existing call and somebody's calling you at that point, and you're only on the web, then it will not pop up on the web because you already have an active call going on. But what I would do is I would also have the app installed on the phone. It will pop up on your phone, and if it's a really important call, then I would just hang up the one you have going on or put them on hold, and then just pick up the call on the app at that point.
All right, great. All right, thank you.
Sure. Cool. A couple of more questions. Yeah, and Anthony said it was happening with them also, and they updated the call flow and numbers again, and that helped. Yeah, I would. So Noreen, if you're on a call and then there's a call that comes at the same time, definitely I would have the web and the app. I would have the app downloaded also, so you get a pop-up on the app, and depending on how important the call is, then you could just answer from the app and then put the current person on hold. But if it's happening without you being on the call, I would just clear the cache, because the update that we made last week required that you just clear the cache or you log out and log back in for it to get reset. Right? Any other questions, thoughts, or suggestions that I can take back to my team? All right. We're right pretty much at the top of the hour. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the call and all the great questions. We're going to have a guest next week call. So I'm looking forward to that. But have a great rest of the week. If there's anything else I can help you with, please let me know. My team and I, we're always here to help you guys with anything we can. And we'll email the recording out with links to all of the slides and the flow chart, and then the questions that I shared. So you guys have it for your reference. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.